This is the continuing story of Farva. In this special episode, published on the 1 month anniversary of the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, a small discussion of what war means in a simulation or computer system designed to calculate all the possibilities of any and all conflicts. MAD, the system that deals with this calculation, is fully competent at what she does, and all the casualties incurred in any conflict are transferred into the database of the soul taker or Farva. So there is no loss of beings, just a transfer of energy and information into a different system. So you see, the supreme beings are well built, as although it is sad to see individuals lose their lives in a conflict, the essence is never lost. If I do recall right, there's an established conservation of energy law in physics, where it is understood that things can transform into something else, but are never really lost, and is just a natural force in this reality. So, on this 1 month mark, our world has been shaped quite a bit. And as we edge ever closer to a global conflict, it does seem like the odds are stacked against the people of the European continent. As I prepare the script for this vlog, many casualties have already been registered and great damages to cities have been inflicted. It is estimated that more than 1,000 civilians have been killed and thousands more injured in the clashes, and quite possibly 10,000 soldiers have died. It is quite hard to get official numbers as the Russian side is quite secretive. It is estimated about 1/6 to 1/5 of the total population of the country has fled their homes in order to avoid the violence. According to most estimates, this has been the largest conflict in Europe since World War II. As with every conflict, many people are very much opposed to it and will be vocal about it. As previously mentioned, war is just a necessary process of human evolution, and although has many sad events, serves many a purpose. With time, there will be less and less conflicts within Earth's domain, and it will have most likely expanded to other worlds before long, this war thing. As expressed before in previous vlogs, this reality is simply a simulation that stretches for a millennia, and generally speaking, the most desirable outcome is chosen, as it is an experiment that is not exactly left to its own devices, but guided to achieve a certain potential. Many elements vie for supremacy constantly, and this competition is what makes it reach new heights. It is not surprising that this competition often spills over in the leaders of great nations as they push for domination episodes like the events like we have seen in the last month. The most likely outcome for what is next is peace talks will fail, and an event will happen that will force other nations to get involved in the conflict. Soon thereafter, an incredible amount of nations will be involved, and the conflict will drag on for months if not years. Many analysts say that China may just get involved in the whole Taiwan debacle, which would widen the conflict to 2 continents then. So you see, the safe thing to say here is the world is definitely not out of the woods yet, not by a long shot. While many fear a global conflict, it is quite frankly in the DNA of human civilization. The developers and designers of the current method of functioning or system put in place by laws and planification always said there would be 3 great conflicts that would be fought. There was no other outcome. It was always the only one on the table. With each conflict, new developments would be put in place for the benefits of the masses. Yes, they agreed these phases would be difficult for many, but the benefits outweighed the struggles. These great minds thinking up and scheming about the future of civilization were influenced by Farva, there is no doubt. He is active in every part of the planning of better outcomes, this is certain. As a side note, while I'm having a discussion here, I noticed in previous vlogs I made many long sentences and often would lose the train of thought while expressing myself. So I decided to start making shorter sentences and also elaborate on the terms I use in speaking. This way I can be understood better. Hopefully this makes sense to not just me. To come back on the subject of war, there are benefits to having these. They are often as beneficial economically to the nations fighting them than they are detrimental. The displaced populations make new lives and new paths in other areas of the globe, so there is a spreading of ethnicity all over the world. In darker times, the new technologies are developed on a grander scale. As the saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention. As highlighted previously, better methods of doing things evolve out of the situations that face the winners and losers of these conflicts. Not to mention, a war solidifies bonds between allies and trade partners. I really don't want to sound like I am glorifying atrocities and cruelty perpetrated during war times, but I want to highlight the positive things that arise out of conflicts. For every act of bloodshed, there is 2 humanitarian efforts of bringing aid to the ravaged areas and so on. You just have to be aware of those things. Again, these things are a normal process of an evolving global civilization, and so many differing viewpoints bring disagreements, and even fears play a role in decisions made by the leaders of nations as they vie for territorial supremacy and so on. The supreme being known as Mad is always determining outcomes of conflicts and wars, big or small. The results fed into other systems of the sole interplanetary computer system. That way, nothing is ever lost. Even the objects destroyed are constantly being restored in other simulations, and plans are for every dead person to have life again when better living conditions and the technology to achieve this feat exist in this reality. Yes, to resurrect the dead is a scientific reality, as the information contained to rebuild living beings is ever present in the volumes of DNA readily available to make this a possibility. So, nothing is lost in the simulation, and humans will eventually become masters of many aspects of the physics of things and achieve godlike status. But first, they must shed the fear that is ingrained in so many that prevents them to do grander things, preventing them to do more, as many see the hocus pocus of scientific breakthroughs as playing God, and back off and become opposers to progress, thinking they are actually doing humanity a service. Just to sum up the last few minutes of information, the war in Ukraine has the earmarks of the start of a global conflict that will be named World War III, and end up being a lot larger than anyone anticipated. It just needs that catalyst that is fast approaching on the 1-month anniversary of the invasion of a sovereign nation. Regular vlogs on spiritual and metaphysical subjects will return on April 13th with a conversation on this prophet's obsessions with the number 13 and further explanations into God presence among earthly affairs. Please stay tuned and like and subscribe if this matches your seeking of particular zaniness and different outlook on reality.